Hey, we're going to take our Nordson Selective Solder, the Novo, and the pump in it needs to be cleaned out. Basically, we've got a pump that takes the hot solder, which is currently setting at 310 degrees Celsius, and the solder in here, it's about 20 pounds of solder melted down, and a pump pumps it around and pulls it up through a little tube and squirts it out through a nozzle, little nozzle. This is the nozzle for it. It squirts it up through the center of that, and it creates a little fountain that comes along, and then the circuit board is above it, and it moves over and solders the pins. So, but the pump is dirty, needs to be cleaned out. It's been a little while since we've done it. So come on over here and we'll show you what we got. We've currently got the part of the head taken apart here. I'm gonna pull this off. You can see down in there where we've got that liquid solder right there, and you can kind of, this will help you see a little bit. So this whole big green pot is full of solder. So I got to remove some screws. I got to remove these two and these two screws. I have to disconnect this cable right here, and then we're going to slide this this nitrogen line here off. So that pulls those off, and then this entire assembly with this motor is going to lift out, and I'm going to bring it over here to the table, and then we're going to disassemble it. So it's currently 310 degrees Celsius also. And being hot, it's certainly dangerous, but we need to take it apart while it's hot so we can get that solder pried out of there. By the time we get done, it's going to be cool enough that that solder is not going to want to come off very easy. So let me disconnect this motor. So it's got a little clip right here, and just unclip that, pull the two apart, and this is plugged off of P2. So this machine's set up to where it can have more than one pump attachment to it. This is a versatile machine. So these are just 4 little screws. They're hard to hold with a glove, but again, the screws are even that same temperature. Once we get the last one out, it's going to try to rock us just a little bit. That screw is not wanting to cooperate. Must have solder down in the hole just a little bit. Okay, 3 of the 4 are now out. Okay, yeah, it was stuck down there. Decline. Okay, we've got that thing free. I'm gonna have you step back as I raise it out, and here, look down in here. You can see if you can come right over here to the top, and I'll show you what it looks like. So we've got it here, and the pump, that solder comes right out of the top of this thing. So we're going to pull this out just like this. That thing ought to be really nice and clean, but you can see where the solder's pretty. All right. So spilt it on our mat. It'll cool after it melts through, I'm sure. So you got to be careful, because if that hit my foot, it wouldn't be any fun either. So it's stuck down. We'll get it off there later. So you can see the liquid solder here. We're just going to throw that back in the pot when we're done. We can see how dirty this is. So what we got to do is we have to disassemble this. Yeah, I don't know if you can see in there, that solder is still very, very fluid in there. All right, I'm going to need to get a wrench over here to pull these 6 nuts off. All right, 5/16. Just going to loosen them first. Man, that's hot. These gloves are still probably not enough. Got this sitting on a little table that has probably 3 pieces of cardboard on it. And by the time we're done, we're going to pretty much ruin the top piece and hopefully not go through to the tabletop. So we're getting into the pump chamber. This little bitty hole right there is where that comes up at. All right. It sucks the solder in right through there, pulls it into this chamber. Okay. Hopefully we've got all our pieces and parts there. I dropped one washer. We'll have to find that in a few minutes. Okay. This is awful colorful, but it really is not supposed to be. So this is the pump itself. Let's see if we can get that solder out. Oh. Okay, so look up in this chamber. See where I got a lot of it out? We're going to see if we can't get that cleaned out completely. And all this needs to be picked out of here. So it's not nearly as dirty as I thought it would be. There's just lots of little pieces of solder in here. We want to clean that out so this thing will be able to spin freely. The walls, the blades, the area between the blades. If you can see right in here, see where it's caked, it's coming apart where it's cooling down and it's solidifying, and that's going to be kind of to our favor for a little bit right here, where I can take this and just pull those flakes out, because that's kind of what we're down to. It's still extremely hot. Man, it feels like standing over a barbecue pit. So I'm just trying to break it all up and let it become little flakes. kind of bouncing around here, but I'm just trying to let some pieces of it cool and flake off others as it is cooled just a little. My hope is that we don't have to disassemble any other pieces of this pump. We generally don't have to. I got a lot of it loose. Man, it's hot. Let it cool there for a second while I scrape on the inside. If you can see down in here, it just big chunks of it flaking off there. You can see here where it's solidified and it ran back down that tube. That's probably stuck on there until we put it back in the solder. Let it heat it back up. It kind of moved there. Maybe it'll pull right off there. If it does get too solid to work with, you can always just toss it back in there and let it heat up for a few minutes. There we go. This doesn't have to be perfectly clean. This is the inside of the tank where all that the extra solder sets, but it allows it to, this is just dirt that will eventually float up to the top. So if you can get it out and while you're working, it's just as good, but it doesn't have to be perfectly clean. Okay, let's look at the back side here again. Yeah, so you see the ring, this ring around here. Let's see if I can pull. This all comes out. So by letting it cool down just a little bit, that's just the ring that kind of binds that pump. It's not supposed to be there. That's just solder and dirt. Really, most everything we're digging out is, everything is dirt on this. This is the important part that we want to try to get clean. I don't think I can't get up in there with a brush. All right. Let's see if we can, yeah, That shook some out. It's certainly turning a lot easier. Okay, we'll let that. Let's work on the rest of this chamber. So that pump creates a pressure and runs it right down through here. I wish we had a way to clean out the inside of that tube, but we really don't. Not much of a way.
Like all of it has that wall.
Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Oh, that's nice. That's good. I think we got, there's still a little bit there, isn't there?
The wall closest to you, though.
Right here?
Yeah, right there.
Okay. So the other thing is that plate that was on here, we've got to get it back down there flat. So we can't have anything coming up. Now these 4 holes and those 2 had the bolts through them. So we can see this thing right here. You can kind of see the path that the solder takes. We want to get this out of there too. We want it to be just as flat as possible so we don't lose any pressure coming out anywhere. This thing's pretty cold at this point. This is a wire brush, little brass brush. There it is, popped right out. That's looking pretty good. Okay. Yeah, we don't want to lose those, do we?
Lose your nuts and bolts.
All these little pieces of solder, when dropped back down in that pot, they'll melt real fast, but the problem is they're full of dirt. So that's what we want to try to avoid. Okay. There's still a little bit there, but boy, it's tough to get out. Wow, man, it still burns your hand. Okay, so now this piece right here, we have to get this plate cleaned off because we pump this thing with nitrogen on the inside. So wherever there's not solder inside this tank is nitrogen. Nitrogen is used in the soldering process to create a bulb. And see, there's some, everywhere you can see those little silver dots is solder. And nitrogen, supposedly the molecule for nitrogen is 3 times smaller than what you'd run across with oxygen. And so if you've got just the smallest amount of spacer there to hold it up, it'll allow gas to seep out around it. because you can't get it down flat. I hate to see any scratches in it.
Some solder on the inside ring.
Oh, back up in here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Around the circle of the pump.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Let me flip it over here.
Inside.
See if I can get that to flip out of there. And then really it's just all dirt. And the dirt comes from the flux. So this machine squirts flux up in there and on the circuit board, and when the flux is there, then that flux burns up. And that burnt flux is what most all this dirt is. Okay. I think we're gonna see if we can't reassemble this thing, get it back together. Okay, what do we got here that needs to be cleaned off? That's not bad. I think it's okay.
I didn't realize you broke your brush.
Yeah, it snapped in two there a minute ago. Okay, so it's starting to cool down just a little bit. It's still really hot, but I need to put these washers, these things together. So we got 6 and 6. I did not lose one. That's positive. It's a first. So we're going to bolt this together, but then we've got to go back over to the pot and we've got to clean where this plate goes back down for solder that's on it. Okay, there's all 6 of them. I'll try to do this without touching it too long. $310 Celsius is, I don't know, almost 550, something like that. 550 degrees Fahrenheit. Hey, it's still warm. It's exciting. Oh man, don't touch that plate. Ooh. 9/5 plus 32. Yeah, if you're going to Fahrenheit. Okay, no, yeah, 9/5 plus 32. And the other way is 5/9 minus 32.
Right.
I think. I don't know.
No, it is.
Okay.
You just do the opposite.
Yeah. Okay, let's get these close, and we'll sink them down. Wow. Sure can tell when I screw up and touch something. Okay, I think we're tight. That thing looks a whole lot better than it did. We got quite a pile of dirt here, plus a plastic handle. Okay, there are 4 screws. So let's get the glove back on. Let's come back over here to the pot, and let's see what we got to do to clean it up a little bit. We might as well scrape out some of the sludge too. Okay, coming in right beside you. Okay, so here's our dirt. We're just going to scrape that in because I know I'm going to pull it out here in a few minutes. Okay, I think it looks all right. We'll tell once we get it cleaned up. So inside our pot here, all this dust floats to the top for the most part. This little guy is stainless steel. So this little pin right here has a little mark on it, and a little scrape point that you can feel, and it's right, my blade is stuck in it, and that is our solder level. So when we got the entire machine assembled, if it comes back and says, hey, you need more solder, that we fill it to that point. And what we do is we take a bar of solder and just melt the tip of it into it. Okay, that's quite a pile of dirt. We're just going to scoop that out at this point. As it oxidizes, it turns those funky colors of yellow and gold, but you really can't get that off because it constantly does it. So my main goal is to scrape up all the dirt here that I can and get that out, just so that we don't have to do it later, because you have to do it every time you start up, shut down. You should clean the pot. Here's our sludge. So we saved that, and at some point you can send it all out and have it cleaned. This solder is SN100C solder, lead free. Okay, can you see me setting it back down in there all right? And right here we're going to go down. I'm going real slow, and can you see it from this side on top? And you can see it sinking down in there. Okay, there it is. Now I'm going to set that right like that, and see if we can get a couple of screws. If we can get one in the front, then we'll be good to go. The objective is to do it with gloves on and not drop it down in the machine. Okay, that's one. Okay, so the solder pot is setting back down in there. Gravity's the only thing that holds it level and keeps it in there. There's no bolts really holding it down, I don't believe, but I've never pulled the pot out. The green pot means lead free. Non-green pot means leaded. And this thing runs on 220 3-phase, I believe. Okay, so we got that. Now let's hook up P2. Which one is, let's see, P2 is our motor, and then we got to hook up the gas. Okay, P2. So one's an SL for solder level. And that's this one right here. Put that camera back up here. The cameras are misaligned at this point, and then this one will go back in to our gas chamber on top. So the two nitrogen inputs are to measure that level. Okay, why don't we go ahead and just reassemble it, Danielle? Here's our top piece that's going to go on there. It's cold, but we want it to be flat also to trap that nitrogen.
You need the silver cover flat piece.
Yeah. I was just brushing that off. Yeah. You'll have to tell me probably how to do it in the right order. All right, this piece here goes on, and this just kind of helps hold the solder and keeps it from slopping around so much. So that just drops in right there on top of it. All right. Then we got this tube here. This is part of our fountain system. It's got a little notch in it on one side right there, and that goes down on this first side. There's a screw down in there that it snaps onto and then locks in. That keeps it from raising up and out. That solder comes up the center of that tip. Okay, now this piece here. Okay, so we got this piece here. This is where we measure our solder. It has SL written on it, and so it's hard to tell, but anyway, that stands for solder level. So we're going to drop that in here. This piece goes through that hole in that plate. This whole thing goes in just like that, and that's the way it sets. And then this hose plugs into here, and that whole thing sets in there like that. Okay, so at this point we are close to turning it on to see if we get what happens. That helps keep the nitrogen in the bubble. There's two other pieces that go on. So let's turn the pump on and see what happens. Solder pump number 1, set on 901. Okay, I'm going to click that and then we'll see what it does here. Oh, okay. So it came up here. Look at the screen. So look at it. We are 280 degrees out of 310 Celsius. And when I click on start the pump, it says it can't start because the pot's not hot enough. So it's not set to the temp. So we'll just let it set. So we got to wait till this thing gets up there. It's at 281 now. So it's going to take a few minutes. So this is our tip that we use. This is a 1/4 inch tip, and I'm just going to lay it down. This got 4 magnets in the top of this thing, and when heated up and setting there, it helps hold it down into place. But to start it up, we're just going to set it on it and let that solder. Once the pump starts, it's just going to heat that tip up. So we really need to get that temp way up to speed. If we were to put it on there and start it up, when that solder came up through that tip, if it wasn't hot enough, it would just solidify in the tip and become solid. Then we would have to try to pry it off there because it would basically solder itself down. And once it pried it, we did that. it's a real nuisance to try to get it free. So you have to set it this way. Get it up to temp, then you can stand it up. Our flux device is right here. So this is where a flux jet will shoot straight out of the top of that thing. So it's pretty dirty at the moment. So we're going to have to clean it and see if we can't get it going. It should be okay, but we want to get that ring off the top of it. So this is a spray bottle of isopropyl alcohol. We'll just put a little on top of that and just let it sit there and clean itself up, do its thing. It'll soften that up. And there's an extremely small hole right in the center of that thing. What are we at? We're at 289. So we got 20 degrees, 290. We got 20 degrees to go. I don't think it'll turn on, will it? Not at this temp. I don't think it'll do it until it's within a few degrees. You can see from the inside of our machine. This machine is 4 years old, but Dominic went through and spent a lot of time cleaning it. Made it look almost brand new. We hate to even use it now. It's so pretty. Such a nice looking machine. Has a heat lamp here. We do not use it for our process. We don't need it. That melted on pretty good. It doesn't look like it did any damage to the mat. So that's good. We could just take it all and put it back in. Or we could turn around and let it just throw it in a bucket, and then when we get a bucket full, send it off and get it recycled. These are certainly good little pieces. At the price of SN 100C right now, you know, it's not gold, but it's probably almost silver. Almost the price of silver. So these are good little chunks that be easy to remelt back in. They just disappear. All right, is our temp close to all right? 301. Okay. All right, you ready to try it? Let's see if it'll start up. Okay, there we are. Looks like it's working excellent. We're just going to let it sit there and get hot and melt. You want to be sure and wear gloves for anything you're doing over here. So at the moment, it says our solder level is low. It says that on the screen. So we're not going to load any quite yet. We're going to let it run a little bit and see what it actually does. But we could easily just pull this metal plate off the top of it and melt some back down in there, and that's the process we would do. So if you see our tip, it's starting to melt. The little hard frays are turning and melting. I'm making you nervous. I'm usually not allowed to touch this machine.
You're allowed to, but don't overdo it.
Okay, there we go. Yeah. That looks nice. Oh, you ready to put that one on? Yeah. Okay. Okay, yeah.
That's what actually makes it go all the way around.
Okay. Yeah, this is little cap. It encapsulates the gas. We're right there. Still says we're a little low on solder, but we did scrape a little bit out. But we'll run it here and see what happens. Okay, let's put the final plate back over the top of it. That goes on just like that. And at this point, it looks like we're pretty good. Our temperature's at 305, so it's going to take another 5-10 minutes to heat to get to the full heat. But otherwise, we're good. That is how you disassemble and clean a pump on the Selective Solder. This is a Novo. I believe it's a 102 model. Runs on 208 3-phase. And that looks like that's about it. Our cameras are close to being aligned right there. We want to be able to see our solder as we go. That hose is close to being in the way. We're okay. We can see where all the action happens when a board runs through there. Right there. Okay. I think that's it. Thank you.